Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to All the Mods Expert Remastered. So, if we take a look up here, you can see the sky. I've started actually pulling off some of the ground. Occasionally I have zombies kind of drop in to say hey, but that's fine. I don't mind a little bit of combat every once in a while, and hopefully before long that won't be an issue anymore. Maybe it was a little bit preemptive for me to remove the roof, but it's fine. I've started working a little bit up here. This is actually going to change. I'm going to do glass, I think. Glass panes right here. Maybe. Maybe. We'll see. But anyways, I've kind of started working up here a little bit and going through and working on this flooring quite a bit. And I got those machines moved out of this floor, and I spent a while mining. We have a bunch of resources that have come in. Also, our ender pearl farm is steadily expanding as well. So, and then, oh, one thing I want to point out, those Industrial Craft 2 machines. Now, normally, if you break these with a pick, you're going to kind of regret it because you're only going to get a machine block back. But in this pack, you can break them with a pick. It's not a problem. And you get back the machine. The need for the wrench is removed, which is kind of nice. I do quite like that. But if you take a look in here, we have quite a bit of stuff. I've got a bit of iron and stuff built up. Because I spent a while mining and getting marble and all that stuff. And right now I've been running my ores through the smeltery. Okay, I'll run them through the macerator, crush them up, and then run them through the smeltery. That seems to be the best output at the moment. Because, for example, like this right here, this taconite, if you run it through the bloomery, like we had been doing, you're only going to get like 1 ingot for like every 3 ore or something like that. But if you crush it up, you get 1 ingot for 1. And then ores like the goethite, you get 2. Okay? Where you would only get 500 millibuckets of molten bloom. I think that's like 1 ingot through the bloomery, whereas it's 2 if you macerate it first. Okay? So today, what we're going to do, I'm actually going to kind of switch gears. Originally, I was planning on doing rock hounding. But I decided that we've moved through just straight progression, and I'd like to spend at least one episode right here working on some little quality of life things, and actually a fairly large setup for auto ore processing and infinite EU production that I was testing that actually does work with this pack. Okay, it's not limited, and it took a little while, and I'll go over why that is in a minute. But we're going to start off by upgrading our backpack. Okay, I've got a mess right here, and I would like to just add some really nice upgrades to it. I do need to clean it out, I will admit that, and that was something I'm going to do after this episode. It fills up on me so bad. But what we're going to do, first off, is upgrade this thing. Okay, so let's pull up iron backpacks. And you can see we've got our backpacks here, and we've got a bunch of upgrades. And we're going to move pretty quickly through this, I think. And we're just going to add some upgrades to our backpack. And the main ones that I want for right now is quick deposit. When you shift right click on an inventory with this upgrade, the backpack will attempt to empty its contents into the inventory. That one is a major one. Requires 4 pistons and a piece of paper to make that. Then we have compression upgrades. I'd like to make this. This is crafting tables, pistons, bone meal, bone block, and an upgrade core. These are just string, paper, leather. And then I also want to get a mining filter upgrade, which is another one of those upgrade cores, redstone, paper, iron, pickaxe. And then I also want to get, well, let's start with those, and then we're going to see how many upgrade points we have, and then we're going to add maybe 1 additional upgrade. So give me just a minute while I craft those 3 upgrades real quick. I'm just going to do it off camera because we have a lot to cover today. The episode's already probably going to run long. We may not get over to anybody's base today because we have a lot to set up in that room. So anyways, I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, I got those 3 crafted up, and so what we're going to do is we're going to take our diamond backpack, and we're going to add these upgrades into it, right? Oh yeah, it's one at a time for these. So all we got to do, there's mining filter, and if we hit shift, you can see mining filter upgrade, and then there's compression, and then there's quick deposit. And currently we have 3 upgrade points left. We can add an additional 3 on top of that to put us up to 6. We may do that. Maybe. I don't think we're going to really need a void filter because I have a different idea for that. But anyways, so then what we can do is we can shift right click and we can open this up. So I'm going to call this mining bag. Eventually we're going to have a tool bag as well, of course. But actually, I don't know. Well, probably at first. But later on we'll get an indexer and we're going to do a tool indexer setup for that. But anyways, now that we have the quick deposit, I know I've went over this before in other series. Quick deposit, for example, I've got cobblestone right here. If I go over here and I shift right click, it's going to pull that cobblestone out. Okay, now I do not have the precise quick deposit. I went ahead and just did the standard quick deposit because generally when I quick deposit things, it's precise anyway because it's generally into a drawer controller or into drawers or something like that when I quick deposit. I don't generally use it for chests. So I didn't even bother with making the precise quick deposit. And I'm not going to go over each of these because you can read what they do right there if you hold shift on it. So that's what quick deposit does. Mining filter, what it's going to do is anything that is mining related, ores, gems, stuff like that, it's automatically going to go into the bag instead of going into my inventory. And then you can also put stuff into here to add additional things. Like for example, you know, it's already pulling in mining related things. I think Sardis quartz, it doesn't pull in. But if you wanted to add additional things, you can just put them right into here. So if I wanted it to pick up flax seeds for whatever reason, basically it adds a filter here that you can put things into. And then the compression upgrade, this is the one I'm most excited about. If we were to grab our cobblestone, I'm going to go ahead and put compression cobblestone. Okay, so then if I was to throw this cobblestone on the ground and I run over it, oh, and I need to add it to the mining filter. It doesn't count cobblestone as a mined material. So if I run over this cobblestone and we take a look in here, somewhere, right there, we have cobblestone in here and we have compressed cobblestone. And then we're going to add compressed cobblestone to that. And so then if I was to grab a bit of compressed cobble, I threw this stuff on the ground and we run over that. Well, I'm not going to add compressed cobble to this mining filter because it's just taking up space. We're not going to be picking up compressed cobblestone. So let me grab just a few stacks of cobble and we're going to throw all this on the ground. And so then if I run over this and we open this up, you can see we've got compressed cobble, we've got double compressed cobble, and it's just a way that I can kind of compact the cobble. And now eventually one thing I am planning on doing is actually making a backpack just dedicated to compressing cobblestone. That's going to compress it all the way up to octuple. So we'll just have a bag on us that's just cobblestone that's just compressing. Which I think will be quite handy. Now in addition, I will probably end up adding like dirt to this. So we'll say add that to the mining filter, add that to the compression upgrade, and then we'll also add things like redstone, lapis to the compression. So that way instead of having like tons and tons of like redstone and lapis pieces, we'll get blocks. Just kind of a quality of life thing. Something I've been wanting to do is get that backpack all upgraded up and everything. Now we may add some other filters, like I'd like to put an advanced filter because you have 18 slots, but we don't really have the space for that. But what we'll probably do is do like maybe like a basic filter, like a couple of, or one of those. I think we only have space for one more configurable upgrade. Yeah. You can only have 3 configurable upgrades, which are anything that has configurations right here. Okay. So, I don't know. We'll add another upgrade maybe later on, but that'll be good for right now. Okay, so anyways, moving on to the next thing I want to do. That is what we're going to be spending the rest of the episode on, which is our auto ore processing and auto power generation for IC2. Because I do want to do a little bit with IC2 in this pack, and if we move too far ahead, we're going to totally skip it. So, we're Because IC2 is not generally something I use like long term. Even though, honestly, in this pack, what we might do is have our ore processing system be IC2. Once we get into overclockers and stuff like that, it will be fairly powerful. But basically what I want is I want some place that I can, you know, dump in silver and gold and all that stuff and have it automatically processed and turned into ingots for me without me having to, you know, for starters, dump coal into this generator. I don't want to have to do that. I don't want to have to move things around manually. We'll go ahead and start getting into just a little bit of automation today, which will make my mining trips right now, they take forever. Prior to this episode, they took forever to clean up after because I had to go through and I had to pull everything out of the backpack and do all this different stuff. And now at least we'll be able to, you know, quick deposit and then take the ores, dump them in one place. Alright, so what we're going to do is we are going to put our power generation actually over on this side. And I'm going to start by pulling away, let's see, that's 3, that's 4, that's fine. I'm going to pull a little section of this wall away. And part of this stuff is going to be kind of recessed into the wall, kind of hidden back in here. Just because it's going to be somewhat bulky, somewhat intrusive. And the first thing that I want to go for, this is going to be a major combination of IC2 and immersive engineering kind of working together with a little bit of extra utilities, transfer pipes. So the first thing that I want to go for is the thermoelectric generator from immersive engineering. And this requires steel ingots, not a problem, copper coil blocks, not a problem, the LV wire coil. And then we're going to need some constantan. Now constantan is just nickel and copper. Okay, nickel and copper makes constantan. I'm going to need 5 plates of that. I'll tell you what, if I recall, if you dump ore straight into the alloy smelter, in this pack, you only get 1 ingot. It doesn't double. So I'm going to go ahead and macerate this stuff up first. Let me grab a little bit of coal. I've been running through so much coal, like, and you know, I could update to lava power, which is an option with immersive engineering, but why not just go for straight up free power, just passively generated? I think that would be for the best. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll do, I guess 6 of each. So I'm going to do 3 of each ore, of course that's going to get us 2 of each dust, so. Okay, so, by the way, I went ahead and added a hopper onto this just so I could feed, because I was running so many metals through this. But anyways, we'll throw our copper and our nickel in there. I'm going to turn this off so it doesn't pump it out. And we're going to let that go ahead and turn into constantan. And I'm also going to want, steel's no problem. And then the LV wire coil, we're going to need quite a bit of copper cable. I'm going to go ahead and do 16, that'll give us 48 copper wires, because we're going to need some to run power and stuff here in just a little bit, so I'm going to make extra. That's not a problem, but anyways, we'll get that running, and I know I'm not being the most efficient with coal, but I really don't care. Like, hopefully after this, we won't really need the coal anymore, so that'll be fine. Alright, so that's running, and our constantan is done. We actually made... Oh yeah, I forgot that it doubles. That's fine. That is a-okay. So the plates that we're going to need, we should be able to make a plate cast. Okay, so what we're going to do, let me grab this, I'll throw that in there. I've got to make a plate cast for the smeltery. But I do have 10 plates down here, bronze plates. That's fine, we'll just do a 10 plate. I'm not hurting for 10 or anything, so that's fine. Oh yeah, and I'm going to need aluminum and copper. Okay, and aluminum can't be ran through the macerator. So, good to know. What would be the best way to handle this as far as the crusher? The crusher will be able to double it, so that is fine. Let me go ahead and do that. I don't find aluminum all that much just because the Y levels that it requires to mine it. So, on occasion, if I have to throw aluminum in this, it's fine, because, I mean, this is, for all other purposes, this is pretty well automated, so. It's still on coal power, but we'll probably change that before too long. Okay, so we got some aluminum brass. We'll go ahead and just dump that over that. Get our plate cast. There we go. And then our constantan. going to go ahead and run that for just a second. We just need 5 plates of this. Okay, so there's our plates, and then I'm going to need just a little bit of steel. What was it? 5? No, 3 pieces, sorry. 3. And you know one other thing I want to make real quick, kind of quality of life thing, is I want to get a crafting table on a stick. The Actually Additions one, so let's get that real quick. And this one requires a sign. So sign, crafting table, there we go. Crafting table on a stick. That way I don't have to go find a crafting station every time that I want to craft, you know. Okay, so I think we've got everything that we need. And let's grab our copper cables. And then we're going to need, I need more of these. I was thinking they were 4 per craft. Not 8 per craft. I think they're normally 4, right? So I'll just get another 16 of this going. Of this copper. Okay, so there's our LV wire coils. And then what we'll do is we'll put that around iron. There's our copper coil block. There's our Constantan. Our steel. There's our thermoelectric generator. Okay, so now that we've got that, basically the way this thing works is it uses the differences in heat to generate power. Okay, like, so if you have something cold on one side and you have something hot on another side, it's going to produce power. And power depends on the differences between the temperatures. Okay, now actually I might want to bring this back. Let's see, because I want the wall right there. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go ahead and pull that stuff up. We'll bring this back into here. And I only need one of these thermoelectric generators because if you use water and lava, okay, water and lava, pretty basic. You can get those like day one, no problem. Basically, water and lava, they produce 15 RF per tick. And you can actually do this process on 2 different sides at a time. 3 if you have wireless RF transfer, but of course we're a long way from wireless in this pack. But we can do this on 2 sides, and that's 30 RF per tick. That's more than enough for our needs. So what we're going to do is we're going to put water. I'm actually going to start right here because I'm going to have an infinite water source right over there. And then I'm going to pop down here. I'm going to go ahead and grab our lava drum for just a minute. We'll take that over there with us because we're going to need 2 buckets of lava as well. And I've used these thermoelectric generators in the past on other series. I'm sure you guys, you know. I used them in Project Ozone and in Qantas. I quite like these things. We're not going to use these extensively, I don't think, in this pack. At least not as of right now, but I do want to use it right here because it's fairly easy passive power that's kind of compact. So we're going to have water on this side, and we're going to have water on this side. Okay, it has to be opposite. You know, the hot liquid has to be opposite the cold liquid. Water, not really cold, but, you know, it counts as a cold liquid. So we're going to put lava right there and lava right there. And so this thing is now producing power. It's producing 30 RF per tick. It's 15 for water and lava, and we're doubling it. Okay. So there we go. Passive 30 RF per tick. Which is going to, like I said, it's going to be more than enough to fuel our needs. Hands down, it's going to be plenty. Plenty of it. Okay, now the next thing that I want to make is I want to make a pump. And I want to make the pump from Immersive Engineering. This right here, the fluid pump. This requires 3 iron plates, iron mechanical component, which is just iron and copper, and then fluid pipes, which are more iron plates. So altogether, what, 9 iron plates? Not a problem. Let's go ahead and just grab all that copper and all that iron. I probably need to get, well, I don't know, we might be good on copper at the moment. Because I think I've got some in the storage room too. So I'm going to go ahead and get these plates pounded out. And then our fluid pump, there's our fluid pipes. Which we're not going to be using fluid pipes to move any liquid because we're going to be just doing it right there. Like the liquid basically goes into a tank right from the fluid pump. But of course you can use those pipes for moving the stuff. So, alright, so there is our fluid pump. Oops, under pressure. And what we're going to do is, let me actually open this up a little bit more here. I mean, you could compact this more if you wanted it to be more compact than this. That's not a problem, of course. So we're going to put the fluid pump down right there. Okay. Now this thing does require a redstone signal, and of course we could put a lever on it. Honestly, one thing we could do that I didn't do in my test world, but should work, no problem. Let's see, if I recall, this can get water on the front sides as well. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to say engineer's hammer, and let's go ahead and just right click all three of these faces. These are all inputs. So this can input liquid. And like I said, it does need a redstone signal, so that's why we got the redstone torch down there. I think this should work. It's a little bit different than the way I had it set up in my test world, but I think this should work. Because I was actually considering some other methods for this, but the, let's see, reservoirs from Ender.io, really expensive for us at the moment. Infinite water source block, really expensive for us at the moment. Sinks and wells don't transmit water. Auto activators are expensive at the moment, so I was like, well, okay, we're gonna go with this. So this will be good. All right, now I've got 2 LV wire connectors. That should be enough. And then we'll get our copper cables, and let's get ourselves just some LV wire coil. And then what we're going to do is we're going to plug up our LV wire coil onto the top, or our connector onto the top of this. You see that it's got some immersive power, so that bar is filled up. And we're going to attach it to our fluid pump, and then just connect this power over to the fluid pump. Okay. And then what we're going to need to do is set up some kind of a tank. So let's get ourselves, we are going to be using a fluid tank from Ender.io. This requires 4 iron bars, 4 iron ingots, and a basic item filter, which takes a hopper, some paper, some diamond nugget. Not terribly expensive. More expensive than normal, but that's okay. So there's our basic item filter. And then we're going to need the 4 iron bars, or the 4 iron ingots, and then the 4 iron bars. I think I've got some. And there's our fluid tank. Okay. Not terribly difficult. And we've almost got the first part of this knocked out, which is getting the water, being produced and put inside of a tank. So then all we have to do is, we're going to right click this and change it to the orange side, which is output. And then we'll put our fluid tank down, and you could say that's building up with water. Okay. So, and I mean, this is going to be more than enough power. You can see it drops down, but then it fills right back up. And that's just when it uses it, when it transfers it. So our fluid tank's already filled. Okay, so that's the first part. We now have water going into a tank automatically and without us needing to interfere. Now technically I could move this over by 1, 2 actually, if I wanted to. I don't know, I'm kind of thinking about doing that. Yeah, let's do that real quick. Okay, so there we go. Because this actually doesn't actually absorb the source block. So, I mean, this right here, this is fine. Just 3 little pools of water and it's infinite. So, anyways. Next up, what we're going to have to do is handle, well, I guess we're going to, let's see. We'll do the transfer nodes next, okay? Because we're going to have to move items around in this. So, what we're going to do is we're going to use extra utilities transfer nodes, and we are going to start off with actually we won't need any fluid transfer nodes at all. We're just going to do item transfer nodes. So transfer pipes, these are just stone slabs, quite clear glass or any kind of glass. I was about to say, I was like, oh, it's not quite clear, is it? Like specifically, because actually I think we could do it with a chisel though, so it wouldn't matter. But anyways, we don't actually need that. So oh yeah, these only craft... Normally this craft makes 64 transfer nodes, but it only makes 2 in this pack. I mean, I've got glass, but it kind of caught me by surprise there for a second. Okay, so there's some transfer pipes just to get us started, and we'll go ahead and get our transfer nodes. Okay, And then what we're going to need to do is we're going to have to make some filters for this. And let's see, I'm going to want 1, 2... Yeah, we're going to start with 2. We're actually going to need... No, we may actually... Yeah, we'll just need 2, in fact. And then we're going to want a transfer filter, or transfer pipe filter. So this right here, it just requires a filter, transfer pipe, redstone. Not a problem. We just want 1 craft of that. That's 4 of those. And that should be most everything. I'm going to need more of these. So let me... my inventory's terrible right now. My inventory's always terrible in this pack. Like, it's awful. Especially when I'm working on a project. Like, that's when it gets really bad. Okay. So, now that we've got that, what we're going to do is we are going to set up, well, we're going to need another machine too. We are going to, let's see, we'll go ahead and put the transfer node right here. One of our transfer nodes. And this one's going to pump out items. And then we are going to make a filter here. And let me actually get a bucket of water. And what we're going to do is we're going to put bucket of water into this whitelist and just toss that into there. Oh, whoops. Well, we'll toss that into there, but the filter goes right in there. Okay? So only buckets of water can come out of this. Okay, now the next thing that we need to do before we start plugging up transfer pipes and doing all of that fun stuff, we are going to need to make ourselves our new generator from IC2, which we are going to be making the water mill. Okay, and these craft 2 at a time from a generator. So generator, some planks, and some sticks, and you get 2 of these. And I think, yeah, we're okay to pull this up. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull this up real quick. And let's get ourselves our water mill. And these are fairly cheap. Now, these only produce 1 RF per tick. I mean, 1 EU per tick, the way that we're going to be running it. Whereas I think the standard generator was... I can't remember. I think it's like running coal. I think it's like 8 EU per tick or something like that. So 1 for 1, we're going to be losing EU. But these don't require coal, which of course right there, that's great. We're not going to have to manually feed this anymore. Now there's a couple ways that you can do this. You can either submerge it in water. If you submerge it in water, I think the most you're going to get is like 0.25 EU per tick. It's terrible. But we're going to be doing the manual method, which is feeding it buckets of water. Okay, and this is not... Okay, maybe you do need an infinite water source. I know in my test world I had an infinite water source. It seems like it stopped up when I didn't have infinite water sources, when I just had those source blocks. The water was still there, but it wasn't really pumping it. So I went ahead and just removed this stuff out, and that seems to do the trick. So, that's fine. This side may or may not be producing... I mean, realistically, I could pull this up just to make sure that we've got it, I guess. It doesn't really matter, but anyways, back to what we were doing. So, okay, so we got our water mills, and I actually love the way these look, if you haven't seen them, because they actually have spinning blades on them, which is pretty cool. But we are going to put this, let's see, I'm going to have to facade this a little bit later. Because we're going to have pipes. I don't want blocks to come out in front of it. Let's see. We're going to set it up. Our first one will be right here. Okay? So you can see it's kind of got like some blades sticking out. And they're actually like right up flush with the wall. I wish it wasn't like that. Kind of. And then what we'll do is we'll probably have this ceiling be 5 high. Because I know the other one over there is 5 high. Then we'll put the next one right here. Now, you can actually put these right up on top of each other. That's fine. But I'm going to want these kind of encased in glass. So we have like these turbines spinning in this room. Because if you haven't already noticed, water is going to be a major theme of this build. Not to the point of my IC2 Classic series. But it is going to be a big focal point of this build. So I think like a water turbine area. And maybe even in a couple rooms. I don't know. But... I do want one, like right as you walk in here, right on your left is going to be water turbines. It's going to be this whole wall field with these just constantly spinning, producing EU. So what we're going to do is let's go ahead and open this up. So there's the back of that water mill, and there is the back of that water mill. And then what we're going to do is let's remove that. And we're going to have a transfer pipe that comes out and touches into both of these. Okay. And then we'll just bring this out and along. And we're just going to plug it up to this. Okay. So what's going to happen is here in a second, it's going to detect these and it's going to send that bucket of water over to one of these. Now I'm going to go ahead and make, let's do 6 for now. We'll probably end up adding more. But we're going to go ahead and toss in like 6 buckets of water there. One of these should have gotten it. This one right here. Okay, so there it is. It's spinning right now. It's producing EU. Now this thing, that's the worst thing about transfer pipes. They're not terribly fast. But eventually we'll be able to speed it up. But you can see, I mean, these are starting to kick on. Both of these are. And what I'll probably end up doing is maybe putting another transfer node maybe on the top and another one on the bottom to have these pumping, you know, multiple pumping and checking at a time. Okay. But for right now, one is fine, I think. Because this is only going to be able to hold 1 bucket of water, so it's not a big deal. Okay, and these are both spinning up. They're not really getting any excess water. That's the worst thing about having these transfer nodes, because they're so slow. And it's going to be a while before we can make speed upgrades. I don't know, maybe I need to make like a buffer that's a little bit closer. You think? I think so. So what we'll do is we'll have this pump out to a buffer. The buffer's going to be sitting like right here. Okay. I'm losing my mind. Okay. Let me go ahead and pull this off for, well, I'll leave it for right now. We'll maybe pull it off here in a minute. I think the main reason it's not keeping up, we'll see once, I totally forgot. I haven't actually plugged it up so that it's pumping the buckets back out. Okay, so these buckets just kind of stopped it up. I don't know what I was doing. And so what we're going to do, we have buckets stopping this up. What we're going to do is we're going to put a transfer node, or actually, what does it take to make retrieval nodes? 2 transfer nodes, emerald, and 2 ender pearls. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a retrieval node instead of a transfer node. Because that way we don't have to have transfer nodes on each of these. It's going to be cheaper in the long run, and it's actually going to be smarter in the long run too, because we can do like a single filter instead of having multiple filters. We'll just have a single filter. And we may not actually even need these transfer pipe filters doing it this way. A little bit different than I had it set up, and that's fine. When I was doing it in my test world, it was more for like proof of concept more than anything. Okay, so retrieval node, and then we are going to need one more filter. So let's go ahead and get that. And then I'm going to need a bunch more smooth stone. I've got some right here. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and make 3 stacks of glass. Because by the end of this, because I'm going to be setting up, expanding this off camera, you know, and I'm going to need lots of glass. Okay, while that glass is smelting, what we're going to do is we're going to put a retrieval node onto this fluid tank. Okay. So the retrieval node, we'll put it right here on the top of this, I think. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have transfer nodes attached to these water mills. Actually, you know what? We can make this all part of the same network. And instead of running multiple transfer nodes, this is going to be fine. And this also means I can probably plug these transfer nodes into the back and not have to facade the front of that. Biggest problem right now is it's not going to be the fastest thing in the world, but it can't be helped at the moment. It'll be helped later once we get some better piping. So we'll just plug these into the back of the water mills then. Okay, so let's go ahead and throw these buckets into there so they can start filling up. And then what we're going to do, the retrieval node, basically what it does is it grabs items that match. You know, if you put a filter in here, and we say, what we're going to do with the filter is, I'm actually going to blacklist. Because I noticed in my test world, it worked better when I blacklisted water buckets than when I whitelisted buckets. Okay, so we're going to blacklist water buckets. And we'll just put this right into there. So we'll blacklist water buckets. I did have an issue. It wasn't really a big issue. One happened to slip through before. Like a water bucket slipped into this and kind of got stuck. And I don't really know. I tested it and messed with it. And I think it was just like a mess up. like a bug or something. I don't know, but somehow one got through, and it was only one, but that's why I'm going to go ahead and blacklist. I didn't encounter any issues with that. So retrieval node, blacklisting water buckets. And then what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and just run our piping up like that. And I'm going to take this hammer. And I'm going to go ahead and just this. Oh, actually, I can't use the hammer as a wrench, can I? Okay. Let's take a look. Is this retrieving? There we go. Just got a water bucket or an empty bucket and it deposited into here, and then it all went full circle. So we should, yeah, see that one just sped up. Okay. And there goes that one, and it's going to keep on. And these do have a buffer that they'll fill up. I don't know if it's going to hit it, because that retrieval node's just so slow. And the transfer nodes are also slow. Well, that one's actually getting the buffer filled up. I don't know. It's going to be kind of like... well, anyways, let's get a wrench. We can speed this up at least slightly right now, because I don't think we'll be able to make any speed upgrades yet for a minute. That'll be fine. Iron, red dye, redstone. Okay. See, in my test world, it was a little bit more compact. And I wasn't even thinking about the transfer nodes being that slow. I should have been, because transfer nodes are terrible for speed until you get speed upgrades in them. But my setup was more like right up on the spot, because I wasn't planning on in my test world I didn't have a big wall of these, like we're gonna have in here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put no, I want this one right there. I want black bars right there, and that means items go this direction. Okay. Instead of this being able to check up. Anyways, now the retrieval node should still be able to get the buckets. Yep. The retrieval node's still finding it. It's still super slow though. You know what I could do? Yeah, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Because this is fairly simple and straightforward to do. Just to help speed this up a little bit. It's not going to be enough to... well, it actually might be enough. Possibly. What we're going to do is we are going to pull up... Alright, we're going to pull this up. And I'm going to go ahead and block that off so that the water doesn't get down there with our redstone torch. And what we're going to do is we are going to plug up fluid pipes instead. We're going to have fluid pipes come out. And these fluid pipes are going to run up to... we'll do it like right here. And we're going to have our fluid tank sitting right there. Okay, I'm going to need more of those. That's fine. Let me go get some more iron plates real quick. Okay, fluid pump right there. That should keep this stocked with water. And it should be quite a bit faster than transfer pipes. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll do our transfer node. I should pull that off for just a minute. We'll do our transfer node right there. This is the filter with the water bucket. Okay, and then we'll have the retrieval node just setting right here. This one's going to have the filter with the blacklisted water bucket. And then we'll just plug all this up like that. Okay, now this should transfer quite a bit faster now. If we take a look in here, that buffer's starting to fill up. That one's really filling up. And eventually these are going to fill up, and don't only need to fill, add more buckets once these kind of run down. Now we may eventually add, additional, maybe what I might do is do like a fluid tank with transfer nodes for each set of windmill or each water wheel. So we'll have another setup right here, and we'll probably do a separate, because these fluid tanks, retrieval nodes, transfer nodes, they're not terribly expensive. So that's probably what we'll do is we'll just have one dedicated for every two. Okay, because it seems like one is still kind of the limit. It's still kind of like, So, because what it's doing is it's checking up and then it's checking down. If I had it go straight instead, it would be faster because it wouldn't check, the other directions at all. And honestly, I don't know. I think it's going to keep up because this one's filling up. And see, it's not eating this water immediately. And this one's starting to fill up. So, I think that'll be okay. I do believe. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this one's like filled, and this one is just about filled. Okay, so that's good. So there we go. We have 2 EU per tick being produced. And like I said, we'll do another setup here, another setup here, another setup here. I may bring this wall back by 1. So we'll end up having 8 EU per tick being produced by these water mills, and I may expand it even more. That's just for starters. That's like my current outlook. What I'm going to work on between this episode and next is getting these set up so we have, you know, that passive 8 EU constant. Okay, I actually cut for a while and went ahead and copied that setup over. And it's all the exact same. These are all separate, so, you know, if you're setting this up, make sure and break off those transfer pipes. We don't want those connecting. So these are all separate. They all have their own buckets and everything, and their own retrieval nodes and all that. So it's just identical. It's just, you know, times 4. And this is all fed through the same fluid pump. And it's keeping all these running, keeping these filled and everything. So, okay. So that's our first step. And one thing I am going to do, I'm going to move this chest. I don't really want this here. So what we're going to do is just make ourselves a wooden chest mover. And we'll just move this out of the way for now. The wooden one's just a one-time use, but that's fine. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set up our automatic ore processing. Now, I will say, for right now, we're just going to go standard. We're just going to go, you know, we're not... Basically, this is going to be set up. These aren't really going to produce enough power to run things with overclockers and all that. But that's fine. This is very early game, and then later on, we'll, you know, if we end up sticking with industrial craft for ore processing or something, then we will, you know, overhaul this a bit, or basically overhaul the ore processing. I'm actually going to leave this there because I want it for decor, but we'll see. We'll see as things progress, but for right now, this will work. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the macerator, we're going to set this up right there, and I'm going to go ahead and actually break this off, this connection right there. I don't want that to go there. And so that's starting to get power, and it's pulling power from both these water mills. Okay, now a macerator without speed upgrades, it only runs at 2 EU per tick, which is actually what we're producing, so it's perfect. Okay, now the electric furnace, which we're going to be setting up right over here, the electric furnace does run, if you're running at full speed, it runs at 3 EU per tick, but running at 2, it's still constant, it's still faster than a standard furnace. And with our current setup, it's not going to require any kind of coal or anything like that. It's just going to run, you know, which is what we want. So what we're going to do, let me grab these transfer nodes right here. I did empty out a bit of my inventory so we have more space, but we're going to pop a transfer node down right there on just on the side of that macerator. And transfer pipes. I'm just going to plug this up. Oops. And break that off. Okay. So the macerator is going to pump out in this direction, and that's where we're going to set up our electric furnace. So let's take a look at our electric furnace. This is going to require an iron furnace, which we've made these before, and then an electronic circuit. So I am going to use the one electronic circuit that we do have. Oh, it's right there. Okay. And then, okay, we're going to need a furnace. Let me get the clay that we're going to need. I swear, not having an AE system is rough for me. Like, you kind of get spoiled with AE because it's just so simple. And it does make things a bit tougher, like, not having it around. Okay, so we're going to get that, and we're also going to need to get ourselves 5 iron plates. And actually, with this setup, we won't really have to have the, you know, all the copper cable and all of that. Originally, I was planning on having that, but then it was like, well, I got that all set up, and I was looking at it, and I was like, how do I want to set this up? And I was like, oh, wait, I'm going to set it up like this. I actually like this setup quite a bit. Okay, that's going to take a little while to run. So, I'll tell you what, while we're waiting on those dried bricks, because they take a few minutes to make, I can't jump up there. What we're going to do is we're going to set up our, let's see, I think most everything that I would like to use right now is, I think it's a little bit past where we're at. So for right now, I'll tell you what, we're going to go with just an iron chest. Okay? And we may eventually upgrade to gold. There's not really a whole lot of point in it. Iron chest can be more than enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to have this set up. Long term, I'm going to have it actually like built into the wall, like basically there's going to be a pillar here, there's going to be a pillar on the other side, and this is all going to be glassed in, or it's going to be more like right here. And I'm going to have like kind of like a deposit box where you put the ores in, then they get sent over to that. But for right now, we're just going to do a chest. That's fine. So we'll have the chest setting like right there. That's perfectly okay. And then what we're going to do is just pop back here. We're going to pop a transfer node onto the back of that, and then transfer pipes, bam, bam, like that. And then we'll close that off. Okay, so now if we were to take, say, I don't know, this gold ore, and we throw this into here, this is going to get siphoned out, dumped into our macerator, and it's going to start macerating that. Now, it's not the fastest in the world without overclockers. You know, it's not sag mill with octatic capacitors and all that. But bear in mind that this is on a server, and so it's going to run just constant. Okay, so there we go. We got some crushed gold ore. It's in our transfer node, and it's ready to get sent off over to our furnace once we get that set up. So our bricks should be done, so let's go grab those. And kind of what I'm thinking is, of course, we have the other side over there, and I'm going to do some manual machines with chest access, so that we'll have like an access panel on each side, which I'll work on kind of framing that stuff in between episodes and kind of figuring out what I want to do, glassing that in, all that fun stuff. Because I kind of figured, that's why I went ahead and cut earlier and went ahead and set that up off camera. Was because I figured we'd go ahead and get all those water mills in, so we can kind of see it all running like all at once, which is great. So on this side I might have, say, like a manual metal former, or a manual macerator and furnace or something like that, that I can put things into like an access panel, kind of like what we're going to have over there. Put it into the access panel and it'll get sent over there. Now bear in mind that this stuff will probably, this setup is probably going to become null and void once we get into overclockers, but this will be good for the time being. This will be great for this stage in the game, I think. So anyways, our electric furnace, we'll just go ahead and pop that down right there, and let me go ahead and break off that connection. Okay. Now the electric furnace in this version of IC2, it does store up XP, which is wonderful. And will it not accept this gold? Aha! This gold, this crushed gold, does not work in the furnace. Ugh. I hate that they did that. I hate that they did that with certain ores. It drives me insane. But I know I know iron works. So if we put iron into this chest over here, it's going to go in the macerator. It's going to get broken down. And once again, it's not the fastest thing in the world, but that's the benefit of a server. We have this chunk load all the time. I can go mining, dump a bunch of stuff in here, and there we go. Okay, so there's our crushed iron ore. You can see it's smelting, and it's kind of kicking through that. And there we go. There's our iron. So now all we have to do is have it output somewhere. So what we'll do is we'll just make another iron furnace. This, once again, is going to be temporary. Eventually, this is going to get filtered back over to that access panel. So you'll have kind of like an input and output, kind of like what I did on Infotech. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll just put this down. For right now, we'll put it right here. Okay. And we'll have our transfer node setting right there. And transfer pipes. Let me actually pull this off for right now so I can get back in here and see this a little bit better. So there we go, and the iron is still there. Okay, great. And we'll just have our transfer nodes come down. I want to connect to everything. And then we'll have our chest setting right there. Okay. And actually, I'll tell you what. Let me actually bring this chest out because it's going to bother me with the fans right there. Just because it looks like it's hitting them. So, alright, so there we go. And so now we can just dump resources into this. I'm going to go ahead and grab, and I'm going to have to see, because, like, for example, the gold kind of causes issues. I think most of these other things, like crushed silver, can be straight smelted. So I'm assuming that, let's test it real quick. But I'm fairly certain that if we threw silver into this, that it'll get smelted. I think it's anything that works in a vanilla furnace should work in this electric furnace. So there we go, and there we go. Okay, so that's perfect. I'm going to go ahead and let that resume. And then I can take, I know copper works, tin should work. I mean, it's pretty much, you know, it's pretty much most everything works. Just gold is kind of an issue. And also all the iron types, from what I've seen, all of those work just fine. Banded iron might be the one exception, because it looks like, okay. But like taconite, okay, taconite does work. It doesn't show up as being able to be macerated, but if we give it a second here, it should make some kind of iron, crushed iron. Yeah, it made iron dust, made 1 iron dust. Okay, but it's still more output than if we ran it through a bloomery, because bloomery is only 200 millibuckets. That's like less than half an ingot, I think. It's either 400 or 500 millibuckets for an ingot in that. But let's say, for example, let's try the banded iron. Okay, because banded iron doesn't show much of anything. But if we throw banded iron will not go in there. Okay, so banded iron is one exception. We'll still have to use the bloomery for that. And then at this point, it's kind of like just kind of seeing what we can run through there. Platinum does not work. Gold, of course, we're still going to macerate it. Because I'm going to make some more macerators and stuff, because we're going to have to get stuff for like our metal former and everything. Siderite, I'm pretty sure that this will work. I believe I've ran this before. Yes, this works. And that'll make more of that iron dust. I'm not for sure about black quartz. I don't think... No, black quartz won't run. Abyssal Night does not work, which was kind of expected. I'm not for sure about Ardite. Ardite does not work, which means cobalt won't work. I know aluminum does not work in the macerator, I don't believe. Nope. I know nickel does, because I've ran that through there. Let's see, uranium would, but the thing is, I don't really want to just run uranium to get uranium ingots, because, well, I guess you can make uranium blocks. But I'm going to hold on to that. We don't need it at the moment. So yeah, it's most of the basic ores work in this. Okay, so lead, nickel, all the iron types, it seems like, except for banded iron, which banded iron is terrible iron. Anyways, it's pitiful iron. So honestly, I don't usually go out of my way to even mine that stuff, because it's just not worth it. But coppers, silvers, the main thing I wanted was I want a way, because I'm getting all this iron. And, of course, I can't stack it in the bloomery, and the bloomery is... It's not so much that it's slow. I mean, it's no slower, really, than this setup. But the thing is, I wanted something like this, that I can just toss everything, for the most part, into there, and it'll just run. Okay? Now, one thing that I could do is, you know, add a filter to this, and one thing that I might do... Let's get ourselves a filter here. And if I was to accidentally throw gold in there, for example, it's not going to stop up the transfer node. Because if I don't put a filter on there, what could happen is if I dump gold in there, because I know I will dump metals in there that don't belong. And then what would happen is they go into the transfer node, and they wouldn't be able to go into the macerator. Well, gold would, but then it wouldn't be able to be smelted, and it would still cause a backup. But say, for example, I threw, I don't know, Abyssal Night in there. Then it would stop up that transfer node, because it wouldn't be able to send it to the macerator. And then we have a problem, because I would come back maybe from being off the server after a big mining trip, being off the server, and what do you know, nothing's ran because that Abyssal Night got pulled in the transfer node, and it doesn't dump it anywhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just whitelist copper, goethite, lead, tin, siderite, nickel, taconite, silver, and whitelist. Match meta, ignore ore dictionary, match MBT. That should be good. Okay. So we'll just dump that into there. And let me make sure. And there we go. And I mean, that's the bulk of our resources. That's our iron and stuff. Stuff that I'm using a lot of. I'm using a lot of copper, a lot of iron. And if you noticed, I had that stuff building up because it's just such a hassle. You know, I hate manual ore processing. Drives me insane, like having to take stuff to the bloomery and all that. So this setup right here, this has cut down my ore processing time in half. And I will say, between this and the backpack today, this quality of life stuff that we've done today, it'll make me a little bit more opt to go out and just mine, like mass mining, because I don't have cobblestone. I'm kind of a hoarder in Minecraft. I hate throwing things down. I hate it. I will if I have to, but I still don't like doing it. So when I would go mining, my bags would just fill up with cobblestone. And now, of course, it's going to get compressed and then double compressed, and it's going to kind of compact that stuff down. It's not going to really take up much space in my bags while I'm mining. And then I can add like redstone, lapis, stuff like that. It's going to make it a whole lot easier. And then once my mining trip is done, then I can come back up here and dump all this stuff. Okay. And it just kind of makes life a bit easier. So, because I can just dump 99% of what I find while I'm mining into this chest and not even worry about it. It'll come out in this chest, and then I can always just come over here and grab this, you know, every, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 mining trips and, you know, sort it if this starts filling up. But otherwise, we have ingots here available to us whenever we need them. So, and we may expand on it and add maybe like a crusher for the aluminum. I don't know if this is going to be just IC2 room or if we're going to just make it ore processing room. I don't know for sure. Originally, I was planning on this just being IC2, but I don't know. But anyways, I know it's about wrapping up point. Next episode, we will stop by some bases, but I know I was editing footage earlier, and it was already over 40 minutes, and that was before I even came back. So it's probably about an hour on this episode. I'm just guesstimating. Between episodes, I am going to clean this up and glass this in and kind of make it a little bit more spiffy. Now, I'm kind of limited to some degree because I still have to access these chests. So I can't fully do it all out, but I may end up trading the chests out for something else. We'll see. But I'll try to clean that up a bit, and I want to start working in this room a little bit as well, and kind of actually start bringing some of the rooms together. So, but next episode we will start rock hounding. Okay, I know this episode we were intending to do it, but I wanted to get this done because rock hounding, next episode, rock hounding, we're going to be doing kind of another ore processing system. We'll start getting into that next episode and whatnot. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any questions about the setup or anything, do let me know, and I'll do my best to get back to you on that. But I think it's pretty straightforward. But yeah, I just kind of want to do something because I love blocks that move. Right, I love windmills, water mills, stuff of that nature, and I love, especially once this is glassed in, I think it's going to look good. And I was actually thinking, I have a couple ideas for these for in the future. We're going to use these a little bit for decor around the base too, because I actually really like these things. But anyways, I'm going to quit rambling. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope to see you guys next time. If you guys did enjoy it, as always, be sure and hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe if you're not already, to stay up to date with when new videos come out. I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys then.